Hi, I'm Britt.
And my name is Alissa.
And this is Skeletales.
And this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
Alissa, do you know how sometimes you get struck with bouts of sneezes? And it's like, oh yeah, what was that?
Absolutely. Allergy season. The worst.
Possession of by grandma.
Grandma, why? It's really miserable. Okay, I've got something to combat grandma. It's the eustachian tube itch, and it's terrible sounding, and it gets rid of her. And you've heard
it's
it.
Horrendous. Can you do it on the spot?
Yeah, it might make me do it more.
Oh,
so
so
if
maybe
I start, it's something hard to stop.
Okay.
No, I'll try. I'll see if I can do it.
That is a very mild version that Alissa just did for us. I have heard her in the wild do this, and it sounds like she has a human living in her throat. It's like, I'm living in Alissa's throat.
I gotta get the deep itch.
It's intense.
Okay. I'll aim for the ear hole. Hold on a sec. I'll do it again.
That's it. It's really
yeah, that
insane.
was the deep itch.
I can't do that.
That's when grandma's really in there, and I'm like, Grandma, get the fuck out. That's the eviction. Oh. No.
What is it? When the priest comes, what is that? Not eviction. What is that?
Exorcism.
Yes, exorcism. There it is.
Yeah.
Now, next time you do that, it's like, I exorcise you. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
I don't know if that one's grandma. I don't think she would make me so fucking miserable that I make an inhuman sound like that. Like a fucking seal that's being choked by a penguin. I will do that absentmindedly just because I don't think about how horrible it sounds to other people, and that apparently everyone doesn't do it. That
was our last recording session. You started doing it, and I said, Alissa, are you having a seizure? What's happening? And you said, oh no, just clearing my throat.
No, I'm not clearing my throat. I'm itching my ears from the inside. Okay, like it's very specific. It's my ears itch way deep on in there, like really, really deep, and you can't reach it any other way. Hey, Britt, we don't talk about my ear holes. We like to talk about holes, only haunted ones, though, not my ear holes. Also, what else? What else do we talk about?
Paranormal, spooky dooky,
haunted. Cryptids.
Cryptids. Oh, I was just going to say that. Yeah, if it's strange and unusual, we want to hear it.
Heck yeah, we do. All sorts of things.
Okay, Alissa, I want to hear your first story.
Okay, we're going to get right into it tonight. So my first story is from Samantha. And Samantha says, not something that is currently happening, but weird and creepy and possibly a trigger for some people. So I guess warning out there, right?
Oh.
So I might cut that part.
Are you going to give me a trigger warning for something?
No. I'm not.
Okay. Just be on the edge of your seat is what you're saying. Okay,
She's
I'm
not
ready.
giving us a warning. Just it might impact you. All these stories, like, okay. So I've had a few brain surgeries and come very near to dying on more than one occasion. Once I passed out on my front porch and stopped breathing. Lips and eyelids turned purple. The works. While I was out, I could see my house from a distance, but behind me was black space with a wall in the distance. The closer I got, I noticed that it was a wall of arms, dirty, reaching arms grabbing at me the closer I got.
No!
Right before I was drug in, a bald man burst through and grabbed me, shaking me and telling me to open my damn eyes. I'm not supposed to be here. He was panicked and screaming at me over and over again to hurry up and open my eyes. Until I did. I woke up screaming that I didn't want to die. Hands down, the scariest thing I've ever witnessed. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Didn't feel like a dream or hallucinating. It was very concrete and terrifying. Okay. Do you have any questions about this? Because I have a couple.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Who's the bald man? Is that like her guardian angel?
Yeah, all I can picture is Death from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 2. Or maybe just 1, but he plays a big role in 2, I think. Anyway, I don't remember. All I'm picturing is the Bill and Ted's death, and he's out there scrambling. Also, it says he bursts through. So does he burst through the wall of arms?
That's what I envision, kind of like the Kool-Aid man, just like, hey, no.
Oh, no. Oh,
Not
no.
today.
You gotta go. Not supposed to be here. Oh,
maybe
boy.
kind of like a wrestler from the 90s where it's like, oh, yeah, not today. No death.
Hell no. And then he just lifts her over his head,
Yeah.
and throws her back into
yes,
life, like a body
yes.
slams her back into her body. Oh, no,
but
you're
he has to
going
like
home.
he has to spin around a couple of times for effect to like and then like throws her like, not today. Boom, alive.
That sounds really fucking terrifying for a near-death experience. So immediately, I'm like, how does she know she was on the porch, dead with blue eyes and stuff? Were there people around there? And then
good point.
she just woke up. So maybe she wasn't dead. Maybe it was just a bad dream.
Maybe she's narcoleptic and just fell asleep with a bad dream.
Yeah, a little low blood pressure. I have seen somebody pass out and they turned green. They looked green, like the color drained from their face, like unnatural, and then they passed out. So I'm going to call this she fell asleep. Okay, so that's my story. My first story is about someone who fell asleep and had a bad dream
on the porch. Cool.
I don't want to believe this one. It's too creepy. Okay, so
I don't want to die to a wall of arms.
No, unless you like, maybe they're all high-fiving you. I'd go and like give a bunch of high fives.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, welcome to heaven. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. Good things wait ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so someone else writes in about the same experience and says, I had the same near-death experience with the black, dirty hands, arms, and black faces pulling me to a very bright light. A very tall man with long, wavy hair and a beard told me it was not my time. I could feel the love and warmth coming off of him from behind him. This man turned me around, put his hand on my back, and pushed me forward through the black bodies. I remember it so clearly. I don't share it a lot.
Oh, that's really interesting. I've never heard that before.
Okay, so then one more person had something to say about this. I had brain surgery as well. I almost died in the hospital. I heard Jesus' voice telling me time to go. I did not want to go because I had not had grandbabies yet. I had a cousin dying of cancer. I suddenly heard his voice telling Jesus to take him and not me because I was not ready to go yet. I woke up asking for the computer, and my cousin's wife had just posted that my cousin had passed. I know it was Jesus coming for me, and I know I'm alive today because I chose not to go.
That's pretty wild though. Like being on the cusp of death and Jesus says, "Time to go now," because he's a cowboy. And then the cousin is like, "No, take me instead." It's kind of like a dramatic movie.
I read this incorrectly, okay?
Okay.
And I thought that the cousin had made some noble interjection and said, "No, take me, not her." But then she says, "I know it was Jesus coming for me, and I know I am alive today because I chose not to go." So I actually think she had the choice of, hey, I can take you or your cousin. And she's like, he's ready.
Take that guy.
He's on his, And
He's
so then she
has the cancer. Take him.
Yeah. Grab the computer, check the verify.
Yep. I did the correct thing. Cool. Thanks, Jeebus.
Yeah. Jesus took the right one. Good job. And then she went on to have 2 grandbabies.
Oh, man. That's so interesting. Interesting choice, lady.
Yeah.
You basically killed your cousin. Cool. Way to go.
Yeah. She's like, you know what? I deserve to live a little more than him. I got them grandbabies in the pipeline. Haven't.
That's essentially what she says.
I did also hear something recently. Someone was in a drug-induced coma for a while, and I want to say like a month. And in it, they had like crazy vivid dreams. And in one of them, they were like in some like Chinese prison and being tortured and held capture. And all of these really vivid dreams, she said that she had like 12 of them over the course of this month, were all these like horrible scenarios where they're being like tortured and are kept hostage because they can't get up and they can't get out. And apparently that's kind of common with induced comas. I did not know that. Isn't that terrifying?
Traumatic. That sounds horrible.
So that also lends credibility. Okay. To my theory that these people were just asleep. Okay. Bad dreams. First story, bad dreams, nightmares.
Cool.
That was icky.
We take all stories.
Don't send us your dreams. I don't want your dreams. Please do send us your NDEs, though. I do think that these people died. I just don't want to believe that that's what they saw when death came. So, yeah. Anything? Do you have a nice, happy story to tell now, Britt?
So I actually have a little bonus something that happened to me recently. So you may or may not know, but I was visiting the PNW, the Pacific Northwest, recently.
Yes, I know this region.
Mm-hmm. I stayed with my brother the last 2 nights that we were in town, and he just lives in like a basic bachelor pad apartment. Like, it's not antique, it pretty newish, whatever.
Okay.
And he was a gentleman. It was just a 1-bedroom place, so he gave us the bedroom, me and my husband and my kids the bedroom.
Bubba Jabba.
And then, no, this is Ben. Have you met Ben? You may not have met Ben.
I have met Ben. Ben has a nickname. Hold on. Baby Buns. Benny Buns. Buns.
Sometimes we call him Benjels. And then I have a nephew named Ben, and he's Benny Buns.
Okay. I also just remember, don't you have like an adopted sibling named Alejandro as well?
Yes.
We haven't even mentioned Alejandro.
Oh my God, I know he has some great stories. I need to call him.
I liked Alejandro. I haven't thought about him in quite a while.
He is like a diamond. I love Alejandro. Anyways, this is stories about at Ben's place. So our very last night there, Ben's sleeping on the couch, and in his room, it is me and Mike in the bed with our 5-year-old, and then Liam is on a cot. And so, middle of the night, I am turned facing out like towards the wall, sleeping, and I hear Mike like moving like mad, like his like moving his legs, and almost in like a way it was like, ch 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 ch. I was like, what is he doing? He's woken me up. Oh my gosh, why is he moving so much? Ch 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 ch. Like he is like kicking his legs or something wild. And so I am about to turn my head and like give him a talking to be like, shut up. And I turn over, both Ellis and Mike complete still. The bed's not moving. Nobody's making any noise.
Are you in the bed with them?
No movement. Yeah, the 3 of us in bed.
Did you feel the sheets moving?
I did not feel the sheets moving, but I heard them. Like, well, and I'm trying to think now, did I feel them move? No, I didn't feel them move, but he had one of those heavy memory foam mattresses, though, where it's like, so you don't really feel a lot of movement in the bed. It's not like the springy ones.
Okay.
Okay, same night, and this is like early morning, maybe like 4 or 5 in the morning. I didn't check my phone, but I knew we were having to get up at like 7. So early morning, already kind of a little freaked out by like the huge sheet movement that actually wasn't movement. I am in a half sleep, half awake moment, and I feel the mattress move back and forth, almost like somebody's like, hey, time to wake up, shake, shake, shake. hey, time to wake up. Shake, 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 shake.
Okay.
And in my half sleep, I was like, God, Ben, this is not how you get me to wake up. Like, Ben, stop moving the mattress. Like, I was like wanting to like lecture my brother.
Yeah, like
Don't do it. And then I wake up a little bit more and I'm fully awake and I realize, oh shit, Ben's not in the room waking me up. And not only that, but he has the heaviest memory foam mattress on the planet.
Yeah, those are thick.
Who's moving this mattress? Nobody's there. The mattress stops moving by the time I'm awake. Was I dreaming it? Or like, because I felt that movement like somebody's like shaking you awake. Like, come on, time to wake up.
Okay. Brett.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to poo-poo on it. But you just said he was in a like a more modern apartment. How many units are in this apartment building?
Oh, I mean, it's a lot. Oh, but he's ground floor. Just know this.
Well, that makes even more sense. There's some asshole doing his CrossFit workout above you guys, shaking your butt around. They're all like doing some like sweepy.
No.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Okay. That would explain maybe the noises of the sheets.
Okay.
At 3 a.m, maybe somebody. But I just know I've never heard a single neighbor the whole time I was there. But,
okay. Not the ice maker.
I'll maybe toy around with that. Maybe it could have been something outside the window. I don't know.
Has Benjel had any experiences of his own in that apartment? Did you mention them to him? Because I'm picturing something very generic, like a very generic condo complex. Like, no,
it is
like
a
maybe
generic,
1991.
Yeah, it's super generic. I would say before 91. I would say maybe early 2000s at the earliest.
That's after 91.
Wait, what did I say? After. It's too old. It's newer than 91.
Oh, okay.
He has it decorated so well. He's got like a whole wall of like antique Asian plates, and he has a whole wall of his masks, and then he has these little like cabinets with little trinkets in it. I love my brother. He is a collector and he is unique in a great way.
Aw, Benjel. Okay, so did he go to all these places to collect them, or does he get them off eBay or something? Are they like listings on eBay, like haunted mask?
Maybe. So, fun fact about my brother, he's super atheist. So, the fact that I have this podcast about spiritual things like ghosts and sightings and all of these things, he's like, oh, that's a fun hobby. So I did not tell my brother about this encounter because I knew immediately he'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
My neighbor upstairs does CrossFit every morning at 3 a.m. is what he would have told you.
Probably.
Like, that's the furnace kicking on.
Oh my gosh. So I don't even know how. So the normal routine, Ben works, his job starts at 4 or 4:30 in the morning. So he usually is up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. So that time, but then he wasn't in bed. But is it like some weird like memory
of him that is going through his routine, the energy? Ooh, okay. So I'm more on board with this weird theory than
I didn't even think about that until you said 3 a.m. And I was like, that's what time he gets up for work. Oh, shit. You know what I will do, though, is I will ask Ben. I'll be like, hey, these things happened. Has this ever happened to you before? And then he'll probably have some he's super smart. He'll have some scientific, like, he'll debunk it some way. Like, oh, yeah, turns out at 5:15 in the morning, we have earthquakes, and that's why the bed shook.
Yeah, truck goes by, the local train. I mean, you need to see some fucking double shadow figures jumping on you or something. Slap you across the face.
Up my paranormal game, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, come on. You can't just be like, oh, my bed was shaking.
Shut up, Alissa. All right, here we go. While I was up in Oregon,
Okay.
I also spoke with my sister-in-law. So this story is her mom's story, really. And
Ooh.
a little bit hers too. Her name is either Sharon or Shireen.
I just pictured a long-haired woman, hippie-ish,
Mhm.
hair parted down the middle, long-haired
Mhm.
Sharon. Okay, go. That's it. Maybe some
Oh.
of those weird tinted glasses
Oh
that
my
turn into
gosh.
sunglasses on, like they're big and they turn into sunglasses
Oh.
when you go indoors.
Super. So my sister-in-law's name is Danielle,
Okay.
and this is her mom. Her mom with the long parted hair. I've actually never met her, so we're just going to go with your imagery of her. And the large glasses is a self-proclaimed psychic and can speak with the dead and has a gift and sensitivity for the supernatural.
Okay.
So
And now I feel like at some point in her life she's had a perm. This is my psychic.
Mhm.
She's coming through to me, I
Oh,
think.
actually, this is perfect because we're going to like take Sharon and we're going to like zoom her back into the past.
Perm Sharon lived in the 80s. Long-haired Sharon lived in the 70s.
Yes. I should preface this story by saying that Dani is like super atypical. She is not one to be fanciful with like, oh, supernatural. It's just not her MO. So the fact that she was like, sat me down and was like, hey, this is pretty spooky was
Ooh.
like important to me
Oh, I'm
just
so
to
excited
give
for
a
this.
heads up.
Okay.
All right.
So repeat. She was a psychic? I'm sorry. She was a psychic?
Yes. Sharon is I think maybe later in life proclaimed psychic, but
Okay.
this we're going to zoom past in the past. We have perm-haired Sharon. And before Dani was even born, she was married to a man. I don't know his name, so I'm going to call him Fred because that just sounds like a good first husband name. Fred. And were living in California. Now, Fred had a dad who was from Australia, and he was a medium, like a legitimate medium, not like a self-proclaimed medium, but like he came from a whole long line of Australian mediums.
Interesting.
And then migrated to the U.S. from Australia. This dad, Fred's dad was known for wearing these like uniquely shaped boots. Now this will come back in the story. Now Fred had
other than boot shaped, what shaped boot could he be wearing?
I don't know, maybe like pointed or long squared toed. I don't know.
Really curly toed ones that like curled
not
back
everybody
on themselves.
Yeah, sure. Like not everybody wears boots, right? But his were like unique enough to like you would remember them.
Like elf boots. Okay. Fred's wearing elf boots. Everybody. So get that image in your head.
I'm loving it. Okay.
Wait, it's Fred's dad though. Fred's dad, right?
Fred's dad. Australian medium dad has a daughter and she is a witch, long line of medium. She is a witch. She turns out she has put a hex on the house that Dani's mom, Sharon, is living in at the moment.
Why?
I don't know. But so Dani doesn't know. But Sharon and Fred get a divorce. Maybe it was the divorce.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was some kind of family animosity. I'll be fully transparent. Sharon's not a fully likable person. So maybe she just pissed off witch and the witch was like, fuck you, hex.
Hex. Okay, wait. So this is after the divorce. Sharon's living on her own with her children.
Perhaps. I'm not fully aware of the timeline, but
it wasn't a hex upon. Was it? It was a hex possibly when they were married. That caused
possibly.
the divorce.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they wanted them to split up.
Okay, well, they split up.
Okay,
Done.
There's possibilities. Okay.
Yeah. Also, at some point around the hex time, maybe before hex time, Australian medium dad dies too.
Oh,
this
no,
is
pointy
important
boots.
Too. I know. Old pointy boots passes away. Divorce happens, pointy boots. Now Sharon's living in this hexed house with her toddler son, Dani's older brother. Am I going too many places? Hopefully you're with me. Here
I'm
we
with you
go.
now.
So Sharon's in this house. She's vacuuming the living room. She gets the living room totally clean, not a speck in the living room. Goes into the kitchen, comes back, and she notices fresh pointy-toed boot prints coming from almost as if somebody's walked out of the wall across her carpet. The boot prints. No other person is living in this house. Just Sharon. She sees the boot prints and immediately is like, oh, those are the same boots as Australian father-in-law. Well, that's not the only thing that ends up happening in this house. So in Sharon's bedroom, she has these wooden shutters at her door. And regularly, these shutters will just open and close by themselves. She'll be laying in bed, they open. They'll close. They'll open. They'll close. And all throughout the day, in different spots of the house, she'll hear people talking in different parts of the house. She'll walk over there. Nobody's there. And so knowing that the house is hexed, she's already been given the heads up by the witch. The witch was like, I hexed your house.
Oh, like she was given. Oh, okay. So she knows this. This is not an assumption. Like, I hexed your shit.
No.
Have fun.
Well, right. So she calls in a priest to come in. And the priest cleanses the house. Pss, 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 pss. That's what it sounds like when they cleanse. Pss, pss, pss. And then it continues. It continues. The shutters are moving. The voices continue. So 3 times it takes a priest to come out and cleanse the house before things finally calm down. Eventually, Sharon meets Dani's father. She has Dani. Dani's living in the house. Dani grows up in the house. So they're in this house for a very long time. Now, fast forward to Dani is a teenager, 12 or 13 in this house. And like I said before, Dani is she might be more skeptic than you. She's like not really a believer of these things. She tells me this story because her mom has told these stories. But she said, well, there was this one time when I was a teenager and I was coloring and I had my colored pencils on this shelf. And then I watch one of my colored pencils flip over and fly off the shelf by itself. And she's like, maybe it was just gravity. I was like, what are you talking about? Gravity doesn't do that to colored pencils.
That is.
But so there's something happening in this house. None of this really feels hexy to me, but yeah.
Okay, the bit of information that was given but never like fulfilled was that Sharon is a psychic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, what's she doing calling priesting? Doesn't she have these powers? Some like spells, some crystals, some like to then go, I don't know. I mean, I know I do know some psychics who are also religious, but I feel like that hasn't, and is she positive it's the hex? Maybe it's her own, if she's psychic, doesn't she have her own like communication going? Or how does she not understand what's happening?
Well, maybe she hadn't. I think that she proclaimed herself psychic later, maybe after this. So like maybe the voices she was hearing were the voices of the dead trying to communicate with her. I hadn't really dove into this. You know what? When I have these interviews, you should really just come with me. I will say, I was like, oh my gosh, your mom's a psychic. Like, have you like been around when she's done psychic predictions? And Dani could not have rolled her eyes more. She was like, well, she says she's psychic. So I don't know if she...
Okay, Sharon.
But then again, I told you that Dani's a skeptic. So, this is like, we can just chalk this one up to just like prepubescent psychic occurrences or hexes or, I don't know, a good old haunting.
I mean, it's an interesting theory. I love the idea of a hex. I want the hex to do more than open and close shades. And was that about it?
Well, and then,
the voices and then speak. and voices.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Voices.
Like, you would think a hex would really, like, she
I
could
know.
never sell the house or something. Or
You know what always like kind of spooked me out when telling other people's stories are the spirits that like are kind of aggressive, where it's like they're pulling hair or they're throwing things across the room.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. That feels more like a hex to me, or like a hex could be like the plumbing never works and then you just have poop coming up out of your sinks all of the time. Like that feels very hexy to me.
Yeah,
not,
that sounds terrible.
Not voices talking. But
Well,
I'm not a witch. I don't know.
maybe it was a weak hex because it sounds like it was cast from Australia to the United States, right? And it was really trying hard to fuck some shit up. Like, it was like, I'm going to fuck up these, I'm going to break these curtains or these blinds. And all it could do was like open and close them.
Yes.
Yeah. And it really was just like, shit. And so then they were just scheming
like,
about how they could have, fuck. Well, maybe we could like.
She just hears voices in the closet or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's my story. Okay, I want to
right.
hear yours.
Dani, Skeptic Dani, thank you for sharing.
know.
Overcoming your skepticism to share. Okay.
I know. I was really happy with that.
I'm not going to read that one. Let me see. Oh, I've got two. Okay. Speaking of skeptics, speaking of atheists, because you said Benjel, it's all coming full circle. So this story is from RJ, and he says, I'm an atheist that doesn't believe in the supernatural, but I have one crazy story as a kid. I was about 10, and this guy my mom knew came over, and he was super wasted. I'd only seen him a few times, and he was always high on something, but he wasn't a regular or anything. Anyway, my mom had this old antique table clock that hasn't moved in all the time I'd been alive. He's talking about like the hands haven't moved. Like it's just a dead, unwound clock. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he says this guy is all drunk and he knocks the top shelf the clock is on and it falls a bit and the clock starts spinning over and over and over again. And it stops at 1:30 a.m. Later that night, this guy gets hit by a car and dies at 1:30 a.m. on the dot.
The same night?
The same night. And I haven't seen the clock move again since.
Ooh, I love that.
Isn't that good? I love those kinds of stories. Like, and I love that it's an atheist because it's like, or someone who really doesn't believe, but then it's just this weird shit that's just like, oh, that was
like,
really
what
weird.
Are
and
the
that's
fucking chances?
really hard to explain. Yeah. And it's not like it just like slightly shifted. He's like, it spun and spun and spun and then landed. And this dude fucking died right on the same time.
Whoa.
I love that.
There are so many of these strange things that happen with clocks. And also where it's like somebody dies and the exact same time the clock stops working. Like at that time. I don't know. What is it?
That was my great grandmother when she died. That happened to a bunch of family members. It's interesting. Like what apparently spirits might be able to access. There's also stories of like telephone calls, like people being able to access like the telephone or phone calls being left like after death or the time of death, or like being missed calls from the number of someone who has died or something like that. There's a bunch of stories like that, which if it's energy and electricity, like they're...
I mean, maybe that's their last like, oh, I'm dead. Okay. Oh, shit, I need to call Alissa one last time. Oh, voicemail. No.
Voicemail deleted. Google answer. Like grandma just getting blocked.
Alissa.
Yeah.
So I have another story, and this one is from Anonymous. She writes, when I was 19 years old, I got pregnant, and my husband at the time and I were very excited. When I went in for my 10-week checkup, I was given the news that a heartbeat was not detected, and the baby stopped growing. I went home devastated, crying so much, and I just felt drained and exhausted. My ex laid me in bed while he went to get me my medicine. I heard the door close, and after about 5 minutes, I felt someone sit at the foot of my bed and someone else by my stomach. I was laying on my side. The person by my stomach said, "I'm sorry. I know it's hard right now, but soon you'll understand." Then he touched my face, and I could smell my grandpa's cologne. He had passed away 10 years earlier. I feel him get up, and I tried to gather my strength to open my eyes, but I don't see him. When I look at the foot of my bed, I see a bit of a man's face. He had his back towards me, but he seemed sad. I feel peaceful, and I fall back asleep. A week later, I'm telling my mom about my dream, as that's what I thought that it was, and she asks me to describe the man that was sitting at the foot of my bed. As soon as I do, she starts crying and tells me I just described her father and what he was wearing when he was buried. I had never met him since he passed when my mom was very young, and she didn't have pictures of him because her stepdad had thrown them out.
Oh.
On top of that, the day before my ultrasound, my dad had a dream that his dad, who had told him not to worry about me, that I would be fine and he would visit me to make sure. Thanks to the visit my grandpas did, I get safe. I loved the strength when I left my toxic marriage. Her through.
Okay. I love all of the visits and the weird, like one person had a dream and then she had the vision and then her
like
mom's like, describe
yes.
him. Like, oh, that's so sweet. I love that. I love grandpa. I mean, and that's tragic though. I'm sorry for
I
her
know.
loss.
I feel totally. So I thought about it. She was 19 at the time, she
that's
says.
young.
So, and she said 10 years earlier, the grandpa who had a nickname for her. So she was like just a little girl when he passed away. And like he's there and her other grandpa's there. I don't know. I just love that too. And like, it seems like such an interesting thing to have the grandpas there for that kind of like tragedy too, instead of like a maternal thing. It was like the grandpas were there. Like, we got your back, girl. We got you.
Yeah. I get my grandpa energy though. Like I feel that I had a very good relationship with my grandfather, and I don't know. I get that. That's like, it's a very nice, warm orange energy to me, as if you must know.
The color.
Yeah.
Alissa has a color for everything.
I do have
that.
a color for everything. I really do, I think. Yeah. Okay. So that was like a sad, heartwarming, really sad. And just the strength and the knowledge that her grandfathers were there for her and gave her the strength to carry through all of it. Oh, I like that. Nice one. Good job. Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Well, yeah. Okay. So my last story is a Ouija board experience.
Hell yeah, girl. You know I'm here for that.
Yeah. And this one is from Sunshine. And Sunshine says, "Hey, all, wanted to share my mom and my aunt's experience. They both told me about it independently and not the kinds to make this up. Sorry about the length. So this took place when they were teens. They're in their 50s now, in a relatively old 4-story building from the 1920s. And about 7 girls had gathered for a sleepover and decided to make a rudimentary Ouija board, of course."
That's what I did with my friend Cheryl out of a duct tape or out of a tape dispenser.
Yes. Their choices for materials were they wrote it out on a huge poster board and used a bottle cap as a planchette.
Oh.
They asked a spirit to join them, and everyone felt like they were in the presence of an older man, somehow very warm and nurturing. Oh my God.
What?
Do you think it could be a grandfather? Okay. Doesn't that seem like it's the presence?
Super grampy.
About? I didn't even know this said that. I often will just breeze over it, glance it, get the idea, and then just read and hope it's good.
Secrets.
Yep. They asked a few questions like who he was and what happened, but unfortunately, they don't remember the answers. Then my mom asked whom my aunt would marry, and the spirit spelled out B and a unique spelling for a common name. common last name, something like Jones, but spelt Joughnes. And she says that's the best likeness she could come up with while like maintaining anonymity. So maybe it was like Smith, like SMYGHTE or something weird. Okay. So they laughed about it, and the other girls asked similar questions, thanked the spirit, and went to sleep. Being practical teens, they pretty much forgot about it all. Fast forward about 10 years, and my aunt was having no luck in love. No relationship seemed to work out with what seemed like really nice guys on paper, and she was frustrated and losing hope. Then, this young man happened to move into the flat right below theirs. That's right, the same ancient 4-story building that they'd done the Ouija board in years beforehand. He had moved in because all of his previous flats had had some strange, bizarre circumstance that made him move out. Either they had like a crazy electricity problems or loud upstairs neighbors who apparently jumped around all night long, making his bed quiver and shake, and maybe making a shh, shh, shh noise.
Nice comeback.
And he's Benjel's neighbor. Or weird insect infestations. On the second day of him moving in, he met my aunt on the stairs, and within a week had asked her to marry him.
A week?
That's pretty fast. That's pretty
fast.
I don't know. Okay. That like I get more red flags than about when I hear that sort of thing.
Romance.
Yeah, okay. But she too was falling in love. Okay, she was not instantaneous. She's got a good head on her shoulders, auntie. She too was falling in love, but scared after the past. She called my mom for advice, and my mom was skeptical till she heard his name. B. Jones. Joughnes.
Spelled super crazy?
Super crazy. The same weird last name. My aunt had forgotten it, but my mom remembered, and she told her to go ahead with it, and she did. They have a wonderful marriage, and probably the only true quote unquote soulmates I've ever seen. It just amazes me, the series of events that had to take place in order for them to meet. There's a lot more, but I tried to keep it as short as possible, but it's still too long. Sorry about that.
I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. That's like the dream Ouija board situation, though, right? Where it's like, oh, you're 13. You're like, ha ha ha, that's the weirdest name of Jones I've ever heard. And then it happens.
It does. I was going to say they read it right off the back of the box, those questions, but there was no box. It was homemade. Fate.
Oh, yeah, it's a bottle cap.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
The skeptic in me is like, the mom just misremembered how Jones was spelled on there. Is actually Goghens or something, and she's like, "Oh my god, remember!" And she based her whole marriage.
Who cares? Because she's super happily married and soulmates.
That's
right?
true. That is putting a lot of trust in a DIY Ouija board, though. You know what?
Surely.
I've known you a week, but the Ouija board told me this would happen. So, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
You know, I have met, and maybe we can cut the names if they don't like this, but Derek and Natalie met 2 years ago. Not even a crazy long time ago. Both have told me separately that when they met the other person, they were like, this is the person I'm going to marry for my whole life. So like, maybe that's the thing where it's that like love at first sight, where it's like, oh, you're my person. Like, no question.
Okay. Alyssa's trying to think of the right words to say.
You don't love at first sight. It's all right.
I mean, they've been married 2.5 years. Again, not selling it hard. We'll see.
No, they've only been married a year.
Okay.
No, it's a year and not even half. But it's...
Give me those 65-year marriages, Britt, that were love at first sight. I want to hear... Don't even want to hear. It scares the shit out of me.
You don't.
That seems fucking weird. I'm sorry.
I tried to tell you Mike and I's magical meet cute, and you said, no, I don't even want to hear it. Nobody will ever know it.
Britt was it? I do know. You guys actually was there a coincidence?
No, don't tell. No, I'm not telling you now. You're gonna poo poo on it. I'm not telling you.
Britt was eating at a restaurant.
No,
and Mike was
no,
a waiter.
stop. No, don't tell it. You're gonna poo poo on it.
Or there might have been a follow up with that.
You won't know. I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm not gonna tell you. Was there a weird coincidence?
Yes, there was, but I'm not gonna tell you.
Well, see, you forgot about that part. I didn't want to hear. Never mind. I don't want to hear it. Fake. Making it up. Okay. So
I freaking love that Ouija story though. I'll post this on our Skeletals community and it'll come out before this episode airs. But my sister-in-law sent me the most gorgeous laser cut Ouija board I have ever seen. My mind literally exploded when I saw it. I even sent you a picture the day I received it because I was like
super envious of it.
It literally has crystals in the planchette. So when you're like doing it, the crystals are with you. Like I am like, it's so amazing.
Are there any Ouija boards where they're also like EVPs, like a fucking Swiss Army knife of Ouija boards? You got the Ouija board, you got the like recorders, you got some of those LED like for spirits coming by and all sorts of shit going on at once.
You're onto something, Alissa, because I mean, clearly, if you're doing the Ouija and you're doing it right and the spirit is moving, the thing and the letters and all of the places, you're going to want to try to catch some audio and some visual.
Yeah.
Where are the lasers? I want to see the shadows. We have to like paranormal investigate the shit on Ouija boards.
That one was so cool looking that I was like, what else is out there in the world of Ouija? I think that's it. And you're like starting a little collection there.
I now have 2 Ouija boards. I'm not sad about this new like collector thing that I have. Anybody else want to send me some Ouijas? I'll take it. Vintage, old, new. I don't care. I'll take it. It's cool. I'm into it.
So that was fun. An ill-advised marriage brought to you by a Ouija board.
Ill-advised? They're happily married. What are you talking about?
There's no timeline on that. Did this happen last week?
Oh my God. You are so bad, Alissa. Love exists.
2 weeks
Happiness and marriage.
I'm just saying, no, I do believe that. But like he met you on the stairs and a week later he's asking you to marry him. That's always a little...
The coincidences lined up. It was meant to be.
A Ouija board, a DIY poster board, Ouija board, spelt his name out years beforehand. I mean, okay. When I put it that way, that sounds a little more.
That is so our crowd. Yes. Hey, if other people have some good grandpa stories or Ouija board stories or shaking bed stories.
No, don't want any of those, please. No more.
Stop! I do. Say to Britt, not Alissa.
You know, I want some alien stories. More aliens. UFOs. Bring them.
No.
Bring them.
Okay. So you now know, listeners, who to say in the headline of your email that you write to.
Yeah. Who's going to delete your email and who's going to...
Oh my God, stop. You check it more than I do, so don't do it.
We won't delete any of them. I swear to God, we will not delete any of them. Yeah. So, yes, you should email us at skeletalspodcast@gmail.com. Or if you would like to speak your words to us in word form on the phone, you should call our phone number, our hotline, the Skeletals hotline.
The Skeletals hotline is 302-689-DEAD, 302-689-3323. I don't know if you heard a few episodes ago, we did an audio episode. We are looking for more audio stories because we had a really fun time doing that one. So even if it's just a little tiny snippet story that you're like, I don't know if this is worth it, it's worth it. Call us. We love it all.
Yes, absolutely. Please do call in. You can also come join in on the fun over on our Skeletals community.
We're on Instagram, Skeletals Podcast. Twitter, Skeletales pod. And you can also rate us and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. That really helps us. But the thing that helps us the absolute most is to tell a friend.
Yeah. Tell a friend, tell 2 friends about Skeletales. Hey, I forgot what we were talking about. Good night.
Also, what you need to tell your friend is like, hey, friend, do you have any spooky stories?
Yeah.
Do you have any good paranormal stories? Hey, that's a weird thing that happened to you. Cool. Hey, have you heard of this podcast? Skeletales. Is that it? Do we?
I don't know. I'm
talk about
forgetting
anything
everything.
It's kind of late.
It is really late. We had some very technical difficulties.
We did. I think we've been haunted by some things, spirits tonight.
We have the merch shop. We have you could review us. Just find our link tree on our Instagram and go to all those places. Click every single thing and then do those things.
Alissa!
What?
Alissa!
Britt, what?
Haunt y'all later.
On you later. Good night.
Good night.